Welcome back to the Live Unity and Freedom channel. I am your host, Max. Today I wanted to talk about, of course, the state that we're in, right? We all know what's been going on. Everybody's been talking about it. All of us keep going back and forth and, you know, the same things always, right? Every week, every day, something new in the political spectrum continuously. Trump this, Trump that, Pam Bondi, uh, Christy Nome, this, that, you know, everything, right? My guy and this and that. And if we all really, like everybody, if we all really sit down, and think about the whole situation and how the nation is rotting away, right? And it didn't happen overnight. It's been happening for what, maybe 50, 60 years. But let's just think about this, right? And we all can find this information with all the technology that we have now, right? Even if you don't have a phone, you can go to a library, log in into the internet, and you can find plenty of information of our history. If we really think back to the Civil War, right? During the time that Abraham Lincoln was president, why were they fighting, right? Why were they fighting? Because there was a vast majority of people in this country that did not believe that every man or woman is created equal, right? Even though it was in the Constitution or whatever the case might be. Even though, if you really think about it, the people that wrote this information in, and implemented it supposedly, and they talked about it, right? Even though they did all those things, they didn't really believe it. At least not everybody, right? That's what led to the Civil War. And then, of course, the Civil War ends. Not so long after that, Abraham Lincoln gets killed. Andrew Johnson replaces him. And he pretty much dissolves everything that had been done. All those people that died. He just puts lax laws on the Confederate States, now part of the Union, and they pick and choose whoever they want, and they keep on making things hard for the African Americans or any immigrants, right? Most especially them, and things kind of get a little bit better, but not really. And then we fast forward to the 60s. Kennedy's trying to make changes. He gets killed. Another Johnson comes into office. In kind of the same way as the other Johnson. Yes, he passes the Civil Rights Act and things of that nature. But again, they pass something that in paper it looks good. But in reality, it's not something that's widely accepted in the country. Why? Why does those things happen? Because the country was founded. There was a famous quote by George Carlin that he says, "This country was founded by a group of slave owners that wanted to be free." Let's just sit and think about that, right? Slave owners that wanted to be free, or who actually initiated, this what do you call it? This what we're going through right now. I can't. I lost my train of thought. But it's been something that was here since the get-go. Discrimination. The founding fathers. For the most part. The people that initiated everything in this country. They deep down inside never really believed that everybody was equal. They didn't believe that Asians, African Americans, Mexicans, Italians, you name it, they didn't believe that they were their equals. They believed that they were superior. And that has been, plaguing this country since the very beginning. And what we're seeing now is the exact same thing. We're seeing the same things that we saw so many years back. We still see those things now. Even children, you hear some kids with those type of mentalities. And we all know how it is, right? The way they say is that the way, you raise your children is the way they're going to grow up to be, right? So if there are kids, that believe, that a Christian nationalistic, country is the way to fix things, then clearly those parents are not doing their job, because they're already raising their children with divisive mentalities. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where the problem begins. I believe that the problem begins at home, and then of course schools. A lot of schools, also might be, causing issues like that. But at the end of the day, if I'm being completely honest, I believe that it starts home, and it also, of course, doesn't help that there's so much divisive information in the major news stations that we all know are stations that are consolidated. One owner owns almost everything, and it's only like what 3 or 4 owners that own all the major news stations. So it's they make it in a way that the actual message is being put out there is very they just view it one certain way. So it makes it easy for more people to think that being narrow-minded is okay. And they completely forget that this country, why people want to come to this country, is because we're diverse. That's why. And they feel that we have freedoms that other countries don't have. But nowadays, we see how that more and more doesn't look that way. And it doesn't look that way. That you can't say one thing, because you see things one way, but then it's okay for somebody else, a politician or a person with a position in power, an oligarch, come into a news, channel, and they're just like nothing, lying on national TV, lying. And they're being allowed to lie to millions of people. And it's okay. How is that not going to create a bigger problem? That's just going to create a major problem. And it's going to make things, worse, right? That's where we're at right now. But what I wanted to say is that, yes, we have all those problems, but the main problem that we have in this country right now, and not only here, right, but in many places, but all of us that live here in the USA, the main issue that we have here in this country, the reason why we are so divided and why we see shootings almost every single day, there's a shooting, which is disgusting, that it's happening here in supposedly the best country in the world. But why we are here, I believe that the reason why we are here is because too many Americans have lost their humanity. Too many Americans have lost their humanity. Because at the end of the day, even though I understand that it's been put in a way that race matters, it shouldn't matter. Because there's only one race, right? And all of us, that, understand, this concept, that we all know that there's only one race, which is the human race, right? We're just different shades, right? Different colors, but we're all human. There's no other type of human being in this planet besides human beings. That's it. Doesn't matter what color we are. We're all human. We speak different languages. We come from different cultures, but we're all human beings. That's the one thing that we all have in common. We are all human beings. And the moment that we start losing our humanity, that's the moment that things start getting bad. And if we keep on going that route and not understanding and comprehending that our biggest and most major problem that we have is the lack of humanity, then God help us all. Honestly, God help us all. Because all those that believe that those in power and the oligarchy are going to get you and your family out of the situation that you're in, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're sadly mistaken. Because those people that control this country and control the world, the oligarchy, and those families that control the planet, they don't care that much, about anybody else that is not in their level, because all they care about is just more power and more money. It's never enough. It's never enough. So just one thing that we can all think about. Where is our humanity, right? And for all of us that haven't forgotten about that, talk about it. Talk about it with your friend, with your brother, with your sister, with your mother, with your father, with your son, with your daughter, with your neighbor. Talk about it. Talk about it, because this is something that we all are born with. But life or, manipulation can deviate you from what's real. But we all have it deep down inside our hearts, inside here. We all have it. We all have that humanity that makes us all special. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me in another episode of the Live Unity and Freedom channel. I'm your host, Max. Thank you so much for all your support. I hope that everybody stays safe, and peace to everybody. Until the next episode.